Good morning and welcome to the Mid-Maine Chamber of Commerce Business Breakfast Series. My name is Kimberly Nadeau-Linloff and I am the President and CEO of the Mid-Maine Chamber, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here today. We're going to kick off this particular breakfast, the last one of 2024, with an entrepreneurial spotlight. Today we have the pleasure of spotlighting Aprilla's Artisan Foods, and Ben Nichols is here to speak. He's the gentleman who's in the back that provided the samples for you today. Just so you know, this is a program of the Central Maine Growth Council, and it's sponsored by the Harold Alphon Institute for Business Innovation. We, sponsor, has purchased all of that food out there. So if you haven't tried it, please try it. We don't want any leftovers because we bought it. So there are bags out there, out back. Before you leave, grab some, bring it to your colleagues, coworkers. He's got business cards back there, so please take it with you. And remember Aprilla's when you have catering needs or business meetings. Carrie Smart is here representing the Thomas College Harold Alphon Institute for Business Innovation. And she's going to introduce today's entrepreneurial spotlighter in more detail. Carrie?
Thank you, Kim. It's my pleasure to be here today in lieu of my boss, Michael Duguay, so I'm playing him today. It's my pleasure to introduce Ben Nichols, who is the co-owner and operator of Aprilla's Artisan Food and Bake Shop, along with his co-owner, April Farrell. Ben is a self-made pastry chef. He had been an entrepreneur in the construction business and decided he wanted to go into serving food for people, making food for people. They are located at 140 Western Ave, and he's been open since September. They specialize in unique custom pastries and cakes. They have gluten-free options. He loves to focus on the culture and catering to different dietary needs. He also has breakfast burritos, tortillas, and on any given day you can have a variety of soups and chili. They're open Thursday through Sunday, and on Thursday and Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday and Sunday, 9 to 4. He's just really excited to be here and kind of share his vision with you on serving people and making people happy through food. Ben Nichols?
I really appreciate you, Kelly. Hey, I really appreciate you guys showing up today. I'm a new member of Commerce, and we are also new members to Waterville. It's been a very humbling experience here, and my business partner is chained to the stove today, like usual. So she's the one that provided all the lovely treats for you today, purchased by the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much, Kim. I really appreciate that. We are just trying to spread artwork through food at Aprilla's. You know, we've got a really beautiful town here in Waterville, and it's represented by a lot of beautiful businesses, culinary and artistically. We get a lot of support from Colby College, and a lot of their students are coming down to the bakery, and a lot of their alumni are coming down to the bakery. And, I know that they have, spent a lot of time, catering to Waterville and trying to introduce that, artistic and culinary, platform for this town. And we are here to help support that as well. April really likes to focus on, people enjoying the products that she makes, not only aesthetically, but also taste wise. She just does a really great job pouring herself into her work, and her and I met on unfortunate circumstances after her son passed away, but she did not allow that to stop her from following her passion. And it took us a few years to locate the facility in Waterville, but we found it and we purchased it from the old baker and owner, Stephanie, and it's been a really great experience. And we appreciate you guys coming down here and focusing on our bakery. And we'd love it if you guys all stop by. We'll be having a ribbon cutting ceremony sometime next spring. It's a little late in the year now, and it's starting to get a little inclement, to keep everybody outside, but we'll be having a ribbon cutting ceremony next year, and we'd love for all of you to join and, have a part in that as well. If you guys, are looking for anything, catered, we would be happy to support that and, help you guys with any needs that you have on any of those avenues. But we just really appreciate being a part of the commerce and being a part of the town, and it's been a really great experience. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions for Ben? Well, I had one of the brownies, and then I couldn't eat my breakfast. So breakfast and lunch, I probably should. Thank you so much. So before we get into our main program today, I want to take a moment to thank our 2024 Business Breakfast Series sponsors. They include AT&T, O'Donnell Lee, New Dimensions Federal Credit Union, Cross Insurance, Nicholson, Mishu, and Nadeau CPAs, and Sheridan Construction. Our print media sponsors are Turner Publications and the Morning Sentinel. Our radio sponsor is The Mix 107.9, and Kennebec Savings Bank is our video sponsor. I hope you can help us in welcoming our new chamber members. Of course, Aprila's is a new member. Brighten Up My Day, Buen Appetito, Dirigo Public Affairs, New England Steam Corporation, Maine Apex EMDC, which is Eastern Maine Development Corporation, Pickles Potions, and Yard Goods Center, Inc., the fabric side. We hope you had a chance to visit this month's Spotlighters. In the back, we had Delta Ambulance and Sam's Club. Thank you to today's entrepreneurial spotlighter, Ben, for being here, and Carrie and the Harold L. Fund Institute for Business Innovation. If you haven't already turned off your cell phone, please take a sec to do so in consideration of our viewing audience. We're also live streaming this right now, and in consideration of our speaker. There are also evaluation forms on your table. If you wouldn't mind, please take a second to complete that. Our Business Breakfast Series committee does look at those, and that helps us determine who and what we're going to do for topics and speakers in the future. We also provide the feedback to the speaker so that we can help him or her hone their technique and information. We'd like to invite you to some upcoming chamber events. The next business breakfast will be here in this room on Thursday, January 9th, 2025, entitled Hot Topics in Human Resources Law. Esquire Greg Frame of Taylor McCormick and Frame, LLC, will share valuable HR information. Whether you're a large employer with an HR department or a small business, employers need to be prepared for a number of upcoming changes. This interactive discussion will explore changes in exempt employee status involving law around non-compete and NDAs, paid and unpaid leaves, and the meaning of being an at-will employer. Again, the breakfast is right here from 7:15 to 9 a.m. To register, you can go to the Chamber's website. Save the date. We're holding a leadership luncheon with Maine Cabin Masters on Thursday, February 27th from 11:30 to 1. We are moving that over to Governor's as it's a bigger room. That's located across the street from here in the Fireside Inn on Main Street in Waterville. Registration will be available soon. Our next business after hours will be held next Wednesday, December 18th. It's being hosted by Skills at the Urban Community Support Center in Hinckley from 5:30 to 7 p.m. Today's presentation is focused on choosing the right marketing platforms to attract customers and reduce ad spend. Marketing and Program Manager Dan Reed of SCORE Maine will explore how to know your audience, given that knowledge is power. This will help you choose the correct platforms where your clients make buying decisions. There will be time provided at the end for a Q&A following the presentation. It gives me pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, Michelle Jolalabi. She's the VP of Human Resources for Thomas College and current chair of our board for 2 more weeks. And she is going to introduce our speaker today. Michelle?
Thank you, Kim. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. It is my pleasure to introduce Dan Reed today. Dan is the Marketing and Program Manager for SCORE Maine and is responsible for the marketing of SCORE Maine. He also manages the workshop program and outreach with various key resource partners throughout the state. Dan is currently in the 2024-2025 Leadership Maine class and was recognized by Maine Biz as one of the 2024 40 Under 40 to watch. With a background in digital marketing and a keen interest in supporting Maine's small business ecosystem, Dan specializes in finding practical solutions to business challenges. He lives in Bath, Maine with his wife, where he enjoys volunteering on the board of Main Street Bath. Please join me in welcoming Dan Reed.
Howdy, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today. As it was mentioned, my background is really in marketing, but SCORE is a nonprofit. So not just marketing, but really marketing on a really tight budget. How do we stretch the marketing dollars that we have to the utmost? And what's the best way to do that? How do we get the most out of the marketing dollars that we're looking to put out there? So some of the goals that we'll have for today, just for speaking, really what is market research? What is marketing? Kind of from a very basic level, break it down. Talk a little bit about an understanding of what an ideal customer is. So this is something that a lot of businesses might run into. I'm certainly used to run into this myself. I used to own my first business was a commercial cleaning company where I worked with a lot of beach houses and rentals. And I was under the absolute belief that every single person who had a beach house or a rental was my ideal customer. If you've been in business for a while, you know that's not the case. And there are going to be some folks who are much better people to work with than others. And today's presentation is really going to be a two-parter. The first part is going to be how do you figure out who those people are? How do you really narrow in on who exactly is a good customer? What does that mean? And the second part will kind of focus on how do we find that person? So we have a good idea who that person is, but what do we do next? How do we find them? When do we find them? When's the right time for them to hear our message? We'll also take a look at developing an ideal customer profile and kind of what that looks like. How to do research on demographics and psychographics. So those are kind of two sides of the coin when you're talking about doing market research. And we'll talk a little bit about different advertising options as they may fit your needs or maybe not. And kind of do a little bit of a practice on what that looks like. So what is marketing anyway, right? You know, we've heard the term maybe a billion times. Some folks in here might be in marketing, but what does it really mean? And when it comes to like really practical, hands-on terms? Marketing is really about reaching an audience. Whether or not that audience is a buyer of your product is a secondary point, because when you're marketing, you're really talking about that communication level. You're not necessarily talking about that sale. Businesses have different audiences when you market to them as well. So when you're posting on social media, you think of it as kind of throwing something out there for the masses to consume, but in reality on social media, there are users that definitely interact with your posts way more than they interact with other businesses, or they interact with your posts very regularly. You may have received a top fan badge on social media if you interact with a local business. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Those folks are going to be your evangelists, or as I like to call them, the people who are going to proselytize your brand. They're going to go out there and they're going to sell your brand on their behalf, on your behalf. Then you also have folks who are in your orbit. Maybe they've liked your social media post. Maybe they've bought something before, but they're not really going out of their way necessarily to make sure that everyone's heard about you. Like I'm going to about that baklava that I had a little bit earlier today. It was absolutely amazing. And the folks out of orbit are maybe they haven't heard of you. Maybe they're not really a good fit. Maybe they've tried your product before and there's not really a good chance of coming back. Or maybe they've liked a few posts on your social media, but they don't like your page. Maybe they've seen an email or two from you. And really what marketing is how do we shift people from the bottom of this spectrum to the top of this spectrum? And every audience is going to respond differently to the marketing that you put out there. So when you make for example, if you're replying to a review on your page, let's say someone had something a little scathing to say, and you're replying to that review, you have to remember that not only is that person who's probably out of your orbit going to read this, but all the folks who are in your orbit and all the folks who are brand loyalists of yours are going to read that review. So it might be a good idea to kind of write that review from the perspective of knowing that those folks are going to read it rather than directly at that person who left that review. So that's really going to come down to knowing your business. Do you know your business as well as you think you do? Do you know your business from the perspective of your customers or your clients? That's probably the biggest differentiator. Everyone really kind of knows what they do, but do they know how other people perceive what they do? That's really the key component in marketing, is how do other people see what I'm trying to get them to see? Do you provide a product, a service, or an experience? Maybe it's a mix of these things. Maybe it's a little heavier on one side than the other. And when you're providing that product, service, or experience, what other businesses do your customers purchase from? So we'll get into a few examples of what that might look like. But if someone's showing up to your business every day with a nice coffee, then you know that, hey, maybe people who like iced coffee might like your business. And how do customers see your business? That's really the key point of trying to really reduce marketing spend and make marketing more effective, is how do I make sure that what I'm seeing is what they're seeing, and how do I translate that message? And that takes knowing your customer. Who exactly is your customer? What are some of the traits of your customer? Who is your best customer? Are there things from the folks who buy from you on a regular basis? Are there key identifiers between those folks that you can kind of point out? Where do they spend their time? This kind of gets back to, are you contacting them at the right time? I'm sure everyone here has gotten a phone call in the middle of dinner, and I'm sure you were super happy that person called to sell you something. That gets to, when are they in the right mindset? Probably not at dinner. And how much contact is too much? If you're in marketing, then you know that sending too many emails can be a death sentence to your open rate. And knowing exactly how many times you're posting, how much you're putting out there, you can do too much. So you just want to make sure that you're having just the right touch, not too light, not too heavy. So we'll go through an example here today, and this is a completely fictitious business. The example that we have here is a yoga studio in Biddeford. And we're going to offer yoga classes and a place for exercise. We're going to offer a gathering space to try to create a little bit of community. And we're going to try to focus on folks who are really into healthy living, folks who are into healthy exercise and maybe kind of on that holistic side of things. So let's know our business, right? What exactly are we providing? Well, we're providing a service in the form of instruction for a yoga class, but we're also providing an experience as we're trying to get folks together to have a community. We're primarily probably going to be focused on business to customer. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case. There are certainly yoga studios that do corporate retreats that do very well, but in this instance, we're going to try to focus on creating a little bit of a community in Biddeford. Similar businesses definitely post on social media. It's a very visual kind of business that can get a lot of traction on certain platforms. And in this instance, we're going to say that we have a friend, Abby, who lives in Biddeford and would be a great person. She already goes to another yoga studio in Scarborough, so I think she'd be a great fit for our ideal customer. So let's know our customer. What exactly does that mean? So when we're trying to know our customer, we want to know things like, how old are our customers? What are their education level? Where do they live? What do they do? But we also like to know things like, what are their hobbies? What are some of the things they're interested in? Do they have a specific passion? Do they always come out to, maybe they like to come out to green protests or climate protests. Maybe they like to engage in, public service. What are some of the motivations and frustrations that they have in their lives? And that really kind of comes down to these two different sides of that coin that I was talking about earlier with demographics and psychographics. You might hear demographics as kind of like those hard stats or like immutable things that someone can't really change a whole lot about themselves, and or psychographics being more those soft things that someone has as like a preference or a personality trait. So, okay, Dan, that's great and everything. We have all this information, but what do we do with it, right? So we'll put together an ideal customer profile. So this is just an example of our friend Abby. We'll say that we asked her quite a few questions and we decided we were going to get some answers here. And You can see Abby's a woman. She doesn't have any children. She rents her apartment. She listens to a lot of radio. She really likes to get on social media. And she has an appreciation for staying healthy, getting in good exercise. She really likes TikTok and HGTV. So that's a lot of information. It's a good place to start. At least we have an understanding of the kind of person who would be likely to use our yoga studio or our business. And this can be as complex or as simple as you need. It really kind of comes down to what works for you. You don't necessarily have to have something written down, but it can definitely be helpful. And we'll kind of go into what that looks like a little bit later. This is a little bit more of a broad example. If you need more detail, you can always add more detail. This is based on the one-page business plan canvas. I just kind of modified it a little bit to work as a market research tool. So understanding your orbit. This is really the main key component. So we have a good idea of what a target customer might look like, or some of the qualities that we might want to be on the lookout for. So what exactly does that mean in relation to what we've been talking about in relation to marketing? So the more qualities someone has in your ideal customer profile, if your profile is accurate, the more likely they're going to be to interact with your business. The more likely they're going to be that evangelist who goes out there and tells other folks what you do. They're more likely to engage on social media. They're much more likely to go up in that list, as we talked about. If someone fits your your profile, but they don't know about you, they're out of your orbit. But if they fit your profile, they're much more likely to go up those stages. If someone isn't in your ideal customer profile, they're much less likely to engage with you. They might buy something once, they might come to our yoga class once, but that doesn't mean they're coming back. And really understanding the difference between these two things, and understanding the difference between an ideal customer and everyone else who might purchase something from you. And you might run into a situation where only 20% of your customers are your ideal customers. That's all the more reason to really hone in and focus on who those people are and how do we reach more folks like them. So speaking to your audience, to all of those audiences, as I mentioned earlier, when you're marketing, you want to be aware of every audience that you're speaking to, not just the one that you're addressing. Everyone's going to read into the posts that you make a little bit differently, especially if they're more familiar or less familiar with your brand. And what that might look like is evangelists might understand your inside jokes. People outside of your orbit probably don't. But that's okay. That's what they're there for. They're there to make that connection with the people who already have a connection with you. And that might be like sprinkling out some leads for folks who might be a little more interested to do a little research and figure out what that joke means. You want to encourage people to move up your audience list. That might look like joining your mailing list. Not every call to action in marketing has to be about making a sale. Sometimes it's about getting them deeper in your funnel. It might be liking your social media page or just sending you a message on Facebook or Instagram. And as I mentioned earlier, you want to respond to any review that you get as if you're responding to absolutely everyone, not the person who left that review. That's a really great way to make that look like a one-off instance for folks who are reading that who've never interacted with you before. So that's great and everything, Dan. It's a lot of information and we appreciate it, but we're here to figure out how do we actually make this work, right? What platform? So what platforms are best? That's really going to kind of come down to where your ideal customer spends their time and how they're spending their time on that platform. As we mentioned, no one wants a phone call during dinner to, sell you something. Can you envision your ideal customer using this platform? Can you really see Abby getting on Pinterest to look at yoga studios? Does that make sense to you? How do they engage with this platform? Are they in the car? Are they at home? Are they working? If you're trying to catch someone on their commute, you're probably going to be advertising on radio, so they're probably going to be in their car. Can you envision your brand on this platform? And this is a really big one. While your ideal customer might spend time somewhere, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right time. And a lot of that kind of can come down to whether or not you visualize your brand on this platform. Everyone loves the idea of seeing their business as a Super Bowl commercial, but in reality, is that really going to help you? That's kind of what I mean by that. And don't be afraid to ask someone who's close to you that might fit your ideal customer profile if they'd be willing to answer some questions. That's how we got questions about Abby. If you're already in business, it's much easier because you already know who your good customers are. And if they're good customers, they're very likely to tell you and talk to you about your business and the kinds of things that you can do to reach other people like them. It doesn't hurt to butter them up a little bit with lunch, but it's a great way to connect further with your customers and really get into their mindset. And that data can really help pick that platform. So when we're actually trying to narrow in on specific platforms, and knowing that information can really help. It can help you understand, like, how should your website look? Should you be on radio? Should you be on the television? If it's TV, should it be local TV, or should it be something a little more regional? That depends on the size of your business and what you're looking to do. Print, newspaper, text messages. It can really be any events. Hosting an event like this can be a marketing event. Not all platforms are good for all businesses. And that can also come down to compliance. Your business might not be able to engage on certain platforms in certain ways, depending on the kind of business that you're in. And there are also organic versus paid platforms. People might hear of this a lot as they think of organic mostly as social media, but it's not necessarily the case. Things like flyers can also be organic marketing. Things like emails, regular email blasts or newsletters can be organic marketing. What we're really trying to differentiate between organic marketing and paid marketing is, are you spending dollars on impressions? And that's really going to be the key difference in how I would identify them. Organic platforms are usually low cost or free. We see people blowing up on TikTok all the time now with short form video. That's an example of using organic marketing. They usually require more time. It takes a lot more time to edit a video yourself and post it and engage with the audience than it does hiring someone who is very good at that. We also need a deep understanding of our ideal customer profile. So to really make a video that speaks to your customer, you need to really know who that customer is. Or if you don't, then it might look like hiring someone who does. In paid platforms, they usually have instant reach. So this is what we think about. We think of like boosted post on social media. We think about television commercial. We think about radio. Some way where you instantly get your brand out in front of people who've never seen it before. Because when you're engaging with organic platforms, it's usually folks who already know you. And when you're engaging with paid platforms, it's usually folks who don't. It's usually much faster. So there's a timeline on the results that you're looking to get. It's not so much a slow build. It helps directly to understand your ideal customer profile with targeting, but it's not necessary. And typically when you're dealing with a paid platform, you're working with folks who are very good at targeting customers, and they can usually help with that a little bit as well. And it's usually best for short-term results. I would definitely recommend engaging in both of these. But the pitfall here is if you start to rely too much on Facebook ads, then your whole marketing strategy turns into dumping money into Facebook ads, which probably isn't a long-term sustainable option. So it's just something to keep in mind, is really be mindful of how you want to spend your marketing dollars and what that looks like. All right, so let's actually get into an example of picking a platform. So we've been talking about this yoga studio. We have a good idea of our ideal customer profile, and we're going to pick a platform to advertise on. So just a quick show of hands here. Who thinks that Instagram would be a better platform than LinkedIn for this particular business? Looks like everybody. So we're starting to really kind of hone in on what we're doing here. So while LinkedIn is great, and it'd be really good if you want to do corporate retreats. It'd be a phenomenal marketing platform for that kind of yoga studio. For our more community-based yoga studio, we're really looking for that younger audience. We're really looking for that personal touch, and we're looking for that B2C connection rather than that B2B connection. And another great way to pick platforms, and this is a different way to think about picking a platform, is co-marketing with other businesses. So it's imperative to know how to work with the existing marketing structures like email and social media, but how to work with other businesses that have a similar audience can absolutely magnify your reach in an instant. You're talking about two businesses collaborating on a goal, marketing to another's curated audience. So if they have a very similar ideal customer profile and audience to you, then you're talking about getting instant recognition as an authority from a trusted source to that audience, which can be very good for folks who are relatively new, or for folks who are trying to break it into a new market. This is usually low cost or free. It really depends on what the collaboration looks like. And it's great for building your orbit. And here are some examples of what co-marketing can look like, just in case that didn't really make a whole lot of sense. These are Biddeford-based examples. On the left, we have Time and Tide Coffee, which did a informational session with Yego Coffee out of Boston. Time and Tide's in Biddeford. So they have completely different markets. They service different folks, but they had a talk on coffee sustainability and ethical sourcing, which means that they're in their respective client bases that have that lean towards those values are much more likely to try the other companies. So if I know I head down to Boston at least once a year with my wife, so I'm probably going to get some Yego coffee just to give it a go. I want to see what it's all about. And another example is we have Lucky Pigeon Brewing provided space to Emily Lane, who is a yoga instructor. Lucky Pigeon is not open until 2 o'clock on Saturdays, and Emily Lane needed an afternoon, or Sundays rather, and Emily needed an afternoon space in which to do her yoga class. And Lucky Pigeon Brewing happens to be a gluten-free brewery, so they have a large audience of folks who are on the health conscious side of things, and they have a great crossover in audience. So this is a way to work with a company that's in your area, but might be adjacent, that has a similar customer base, to not only grow your customer base, but expose your customers to them. Here's another way you can use your ideal customer profile. You can plug it directly into social media. This is an example of boosting a post on Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. And you can see down here, this is based off of our ideal customer profile with Abby. We have our demographics underlined in blue and our psychographics underlined in red. And this will specifically reach out to people who are interested in the things that we're looking for because we know the values of the people that we're looking for. So this will only show to folks who were really looking to get into the studio. And we utilize this at SCORE as well. We have an ideal customer profile for mentors, as we're a volunteer service. So I'm able to plug those qualities into here and make sure that when we do advertising, we're only trying to advertise to folks who would fit our profile. You can utilize your ideal customer profile on traditional media as well. When you go and talk to your radio guy or you go and talk to your TV guy, they're going to have a really good idea of who's listening or who's watching at what point in time. And they're going to be able to tell, if you have an ideal customer profile, they're going to be able to look at that and then tell you exactly what programs you should be advertising on, exactly what that commercial should look like, what the tone looks like, which can be very helpful if they're also making the media, so that you can speak directly to your audience a little bit better with those organizations that you might already work with. The TV, radio, and newspapers already have viewer profiles. As I mentioned, they know exactly who is watching their media. And you'll have to decide to create your own media or have them create it for you. Usually that's packaged together. But that's just one of the choices that you have depending on whether or not you think they'll do a better job at hitting your target audience than you will. And, that's all I have for the presentation today. Do we have any questions?
I'm assuming that this would work for volunteer organizations as well, and have you experienced that?
Yes, this can work for volunteer organizations as well. As I mentioned, I do this for SCORE, and I'm hoping to start doing this as well for Main Street Bath for volunteering shortly. It really, again, it comes down to having a really good profile of exactly what kind of volunteer you're looking for, and every organization is different. SCORE is really looking for folks who are retired executives or who might be small business owners who are partially retired or retiring. So I'm able to put those things specifically into the ads that I'm looking for. So I know a lot of volunteer organizations have the barbell problem, where they have a lot of younger folks who are interested and a lot of older folks who are interested in donating money, but they're trying to look for that middle group. This is a great way to make sure that you can exclude those ends of the barbell and make sure that you're only really targeting that middle section.
Thank you very much, this was awesome.
Thank you.
May we have access to your PowerPoint?
Yes, the chamber will be able to send that out. I can also forward the ideal customer profile sheets to the chamber as well.
That'd be great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
This is for you.
Thank you so much, Pam, for being here. We appreciate it. We do have some door prizes. As a reminder, please don't forget to fill out the evaluation form that's at your table. Earlier, Dan and I were chatting. If you like this presentation, SCORE has many and mostly virtual workshops that it puts on. And we're chatting about, should we do them together? Should we co-brand the Chamber and SCORE and get more of these out in our region? If you think that's a good idea, let us know on the evaluation form. If your business would like to be a business spotlighter at one of our breakfasts or participate in a Chamber chatter video, please let one of us in the office know. We have a bunch of drawings today for door prizes. The first is a $10 Sella Tea Cafe gift card donated by Sella Tea. And that is going to Joshua Hamill from Maine General Health. Not to be outdone, we have a $10 gift card which was donated by Aroma Joe's. And that is going to Kathy Ames from Cross Insurance. Coldwell Banker Ployd Real Estate has donated 2 Life is Good beverage koozies. And that's going to Natalie Bourget, who's with a student at KVCC. We have a $15 gift card to the Dairy Queen. I just sounded like Maynard there. To the Dairy Queen. Donated by the Dairy Queen. And that's going to our boy Nick Bollinger from Sheridan Corporation. Nick makes money on these breakfasts. He wins every single month. We have another $10 gift card and a coffee mug donated by Aroma Joe's. And that's going to Riley Mercier from KVCC. New Dimensions Federal Credit Union has donated 4 wine glasses. And that's going to Karen Normandin from KVCC. We have a wooden wine opener and glasses donated by Maine State Credit Union. All the credit unions do wine. It's a thing. Kendra Wood from KVCC.
Thank you.
So whoever wins this next one, if you don't want it, I think you should donate it to Paula Raymond because she works for Adult Ed. So this one is a $45 value. It's Rhoda Reed's language books, an owl, and a tote bag. It's donated by the Waterville Noontime Rotary Club. So we commissioned them on that. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cute. That's Rhoda. Rhoda, like as in Rotary. But anyway, we commissioned a local artist and author to write a book in English about the values of Rotary and sharing, and it's a cute little children's story because we're all into early childhood literacy. And then we got 2 more grants. We got it translated into French and English. And I know that the Adult Ed works with a lot of New Mainers, and so anyway. Oh, ha! I picked your card. See, it's God's will. Paula Raymond. Let's see. Delta Ambulance has put together a swag bag. As you know, they were one of our spotlighters today. It's a tote bag, a first aid kit, beach towels, and it's donated by them, and that's going to Gary Lebec from New York Life. Hutamaki has donated a hat and mug, and that is going to Abby Douglas from KVCC. Did I get all of you? Oh, except for you, Kim.
I'll share my one.
We have a $60 value winter warm-up bundle. It's a shovel, scraper, blanket. This will all be coordinated through Ashley, who's here from Sam's Club. She was another one of the spotlighters. And that's going to, this must be Mary, yeah, Mary Pelletier from Next Gen Fame. I have one card left, Kim. I feel like I should buy you coffee or something. And I have no more prizes.
I'm happy.
I'm happy to share. Okay. So that concludes this morning's forum. Thank you all for coming. We hope to see you in January. Please have a safe and happy holiday season. Thank you.